All right, welcome back to Fanbased. We're missing Boston today. Usually we got three. Me and Cam will break it down for you. And we're actually going to start in a different direction than we normally do. We're going to talk about college basketball. Our way too early Final Four predictions, considering conference play hasn't even started yet. But I guess we're gonna have just as good of an opinion now as we will in 2 months. So this is your idea, Cam. So let's see what you got.
Man, yeah, this is super hard to do. I mean, March Madness, and everybody does brackets every year pretty much. Like, you know how hard it is to pick a perfect bracket because it's never been done before. Um, so really hard to predict. Right now, if I had to go with it, I'd first off I'd put the top two ranked teams in there in the nation right now: Purdue, Kansas. I know Purdue lost to the 16 seed last year. I was saying, they're definitely one of the four best teams in the country last year. They go and they get upset by, Fairleigh Dickinson, the number 16 seed that they played in the first round. But they just look really good. They just look really, really solid. And they're deep, too, which is problems with some college teams that they run into, like these really good college teams sometimes, is they've got, a really good start five and two or three guys off the bench. But I think Purdue just, has some of the best depth in the country right now on their team. And then, factor in Zach Edey. He can't play defense, but the man is borderline unstoppable on the offensive side. Second team, and this is the team I think, honestly, that I've watched out of all the teams I've watched, because I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen every single team that's in the top 10 play so far this year. I've really only watched, those Thanksgiving break games where, Maui Invitational, stuff like that. And then UNC, because that's my favorite team. And then teams that they've played, which I'm excited to watch. They play Oklahoma tonight. I'm excited to watch that game because Oklahoma's sitting there at 11-0 right now. So that'd be interesting to see how they look. But one of the teams I've watched, I think the team that's looked the most impressive to me so far this year has been Kansas. I mean, they are just so good. Kevin McCollum Jr., I think is his name.
Yep.
He is an absolute animal. And then they've got other guys on top of him. So those would be my first two. I'm going to throw in a team that's kind of sitting back towards the pack right now. Not talked about a lot. This might be kind of crazy to go off of, but they're ranked 23 currently. It is the Memphis Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Penny Hardaway's doing over there in Memphis. Really good basketball team. And then last but not least, call me biased if you want, but my Tar Heels. Got to go with
That's
my
bias.
team.
That's bias. They are not going to make it there. I'm sorry about it. They're not making it.
No, I know. But you gotta go. You gotta rep the dogs.
I get it. No, I get it. And I low key. I mean, I'm biased too. I think App State might cause some damage if they can. They've looked pretty good. I mean, they beat Auburn this year. They're gonna have two cracks at JMU, who's ranked. I mean, they might be one of those teams that sneaks in as a 12 seed and beats, I don't know, a team like Auburn or somebody like that, or A&M or somebody that's a 5 seed. I don't know if A&M will make it there, but they're one of those teams that will win a game or two and then lose to Purdue or Kansas or somebody like that. But I also have Kansas. That's the only one that we have the same. I think Purdue, they attack Zach Edey, and whether that gets him in foul trouble or when he starts getting scored on, he does not play as good on offense. He really loses confidence in himself, and I think that's why NBA scouts aren't really looking at him. He's 7'4" or whatever he is, and he's not an NBA build. And a lot of times you see these teams make deep runs, and you got guys that are that would have never thought to be in the NBA before really get their chance, and it's because March Madness is kind of where you test to see who's NBA ready and not. These are competitive games. These guys are you got the best of the best going at it as far as the college level goes. So him shying away in those moments takes away Purdue for me. Instead, I got UConn. I know that's chalky. They won last year. They're just so good. They're well coached, and they're proven to be just as good as they were last year. And I honestly think they got a little bit better.
Yeah.
They look good. Kansas looks good. I also have Texas. Texas is one of those teams for me. They got a lot of raw talent, and it's not really coming together as much right now. They lost to the two best teams they played, Marquette, and then I can't remember, they played another top 10 team. But I think, come tournament time, it's one of those things where as much skill as they have, that'll really help them.
It was Kansas, I'm pretty sure. Was it not? They lost to Kansas.
I think it was. Yeah, it was another really good team. But those are the kind of games come tournament time you got to win those if you want to be in the Final Four. So, but I don't know. I think in a more neutral site kind of game, they might have a better chance. And the fourth, I just have I have Miami there, I have Marquette there, and then I have like Miami / Marquette / some fourth team that's going to make a run that nobody.
Yeah,
There's always some fourth team. It seems like Miami is usually that team that's one of those teams that sneaks in there as like a 7-8 seed, wins a couple of games, beats a 1 seed. Larinaga just does it. I
yeah. It
mean,
was UConn, by the way. Texas lost to UConn.
oh, UConn. Okay,
I was thinking it was Kansas because they're in the same conference. I don't know why they would have played that early.
that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, so whatever fourth team, who knows? I mean, last year's FAU,
Yeah,
just some random team is always going to be in there that no one's expecting, and that's the beauty of it.
yeah, for
So,
sure. Love it, love it.
yeah, but I don't know. It's one of my favorite parts of the year. I'm not working at all that time of year. I'm just looking at my computer screen, catching as many games as I can. I love it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure.
But unless you got anything else on the college football, or geez, I'm still in football mode. It's we haven't had Super Bowl yet. Once we have Super Bowl, I'm out of football mode. But yeah, unless you got anything else on the college basketball front, it's time we actually switch to football.
I mean, what you're saying, you're talking about FAU. Going back to my Memphis thing is that Memphis team returned a decent amount of guys, and if you watched March Madness last year, Memphis and FAU were the 8-9 matchup first round.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying whoever wins this game is going to make a run, and that ended up being the FDU Purdue side. I'm pretty sure that was the same region. So then the winner of that game ended up playing FDU, who had just beat Purdue. But yeah, sure enough, FAU ended up beating Memphis and going on a run. But that was a super close game, and Memphis returns a lot of guys. I don't know. Memphis is just always one of those teams. There's just a few of those teams. I'm sure you're the same way. That always in my head, it's like, okay, like they can win this game for sure. It doesn't matter who they're playing; they can win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like Memphis, but like you said, there's gonna be like a 13 seed like Vermont or somebody like that. That
Yeah.
just like how
Mm-hmm.
Princeton last year, FDU last year both won. 2019 UMBC over Virginia when Virginia was like favored to win the national championship and they lost by 20 to the
Yeah.
16th. You just never know. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of March Madness, man.
That's what makes it so fun. It's one game. These kids are putting everything on the line, and they know they got a chance at. And now with all the new deals and all they're allowed, I mean, you got kids that can go get a shoe deal or something from just a couple of good games. I mean, that guy for St. Peter's, I don't even remember his name. Doug Eater.
Doug,
Yeah,
Doug Eater, yep.
yeah. He ended up he being in commercials and stuff. He made a ton of money, and he's not even going to go to the league or nothing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that drives a little bit extra when you're playing for some St. Peter's had like I don't know. I think they only had like 5,000 students or something crazy like that, and bro can get in and be in commercials and stuff. And that's a cool little added factor. A lot of people don't like the NIL deals. I think it makes it better for the smaller schools. It gives them a little bit more of a chance. Honestly, I know the big schools have all the money, but you're not having stacked teams full of 15 5-stars on a basketball roster because why would they sit there on the bench when they can go somewhere and make money and actually contribute to a program? So I like it. I think it's a good thing, but I'm excited. March Madness every year is like you said, unpredictable, and that's why it's great.
For sure.
And you're here. I'll let you. I'll let you lead this one. This is your idea, so here, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So second thing, the days that we record, we like to kind of just like brainstorm together as like a group, me, Landon, and Boston, and just trying to figure out like, what ideas does everybody have? What should we talk about today on the show? What should we do? So I came up with an idea. We've got 3 weeks of the NFL season left. And so my idea was let's talk about NFL playoff predictions and award predictions. Why not? So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it if you don't mind. I'm gonna start in the AFC. what I did was I sat down, I looked at every team that is still eligible for the playoff. Well, for the most part, I did go ahead and count some teams out, like the Bears and the Steelers, that are like, unfortunately, my Steelers. The teams that I'm like, yeah, they don't really have a shot at this point, even though they're still alive in the playoff hunt technically.
I don't know.
Um,
I wouldn't count out the Bears yet. They're playing really, really good football. I know they need some things to happen, but the Bears have at least a little bit of a chance. I think they have a better chance than like a team like the Falcons or the Saints. I think the Bucks have already wrapped up that division. But hey, we'll let you talk more about that.
yeah. Starting in the AFC, this is how I have it as it stands at the end of week 17, or 8, whatever they call it now. The number 1 seed in the AFC at 13-4, the Baltimore Ravens. Really, really good football team right now, playing great football. Going to be a tough team to take out, especially with home field advantage in Baltimore.
Yeah.
The number 2 seed, sitting at 12-5, the Kansas City Chiefs. I know their offense has struggled, and everybody's having their doubts about them, but I just can't doubt out Patrick Mahomes, man. It's just it's too tough to do.
Yep.
The number 3 seed sitting at 11-6. I wasn't sure how this tiebreaker fared here, but I tried to figure out the best I could. And this is what I came up with. 3 seed sitting at 11-6, the Miami Dolphins. The 4 seed sitting at 11-6, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then hopping in the wild card spots at 11-6, the Cleveland Browns. Somehow 11-6.
Joe Flacco.
Also at 11-6, the number 6 seed, the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to them, playing really good football right now. I think in our first ever episode we did here, I showed my love for Josh Allen. So doing it again right there. And then the number 7 seed off of a tiebreaker. Not sure how I calculated this. Either way, either one of these teams is going to lose, is the Indianapolis Colts over the tiebreaker with the Denver Broncos. And then I have the Texans and Bengals just missing out, along with the Broncos. 1 seed rate.
Hold up. We have the exact same AFC layout right here. We're looking at. I didn't put the records. I didn't know we were going into super detail like that, predicting records 3 weeks out, which is actually kind of cool. I should have done that, but we have the exact same AFC layout, so I won't even have to go over mine. So, but in NFC, I feel like we're going to be pretty different here. So,
okay. I have the Chiefs beating the Colts in the first round. Dolphins beating the Bills. Or sorry, my bad. Bills beating the Dolphins and the Jaguars beating the Browns. That would lead to Ravens, Bills, and Jags, Chiefs in the divisional round. I've got the Ravens and the Chiefs. And then I've got the Ravens beating the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Interesting. I
What
like
do you got
it. AFC for my playoffs. I'm gonna go, Kansas City is gonna. I didn't know where you're going that far. Let's see here. So you got Kansas City's playing the Colts first round. Yeah, take Kansas City there. Miami going Bills. I'll probably go with the Bills, honestly. I know it's in Miami. Yeah. I think Tua doesn't do enough. And I think if Josh Allen can avoid turning the ball over, I'm going to take the Bills there. And then I'm going to go Browns. So then you're going to have what? Ravens and Bills. Yep, going Ravens there. Then you're going to have the Browns in Kansas City. I'm going to go Browns. So you got Browns, Ravens in the AFC Championship, and I'm going Browns. Browns are my AFC champion. I think their defense is so good. I think Joe Flacco has really good experience. I personally think they picked him up to tank. I'm not even going to lie. I don't think they expected him to play this well. I think they picked him up to try to get a good draft pick, but he's been really good, and he's got the experience. He's won a Super Bowl, and I think he's going to beat – I think their defense is really going to win them that game, and Joe Flacco will not lose them that game. So, yeah, Browns are going to be my AFC champion.
Wow, the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl. Okay.
Dude, it just they just look so good. Joe Flacco threw 3 picks and looked awful through 3 quarters last week, and they still find a way to win that game
against the Bears.
The Bears have looked pretty good though. As the last couple weeks, they've beaten some solid teams.
I can't see it. I think when they play like a legitimate offense, they will get beat. Okay, over in the NFC, the 1 seed at 14-3, and the best record in the NFL, San Francisco 49ers. 2 seed at 13-4, the Philadelphia Eagles, who just dropped out down to the wild card last week.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, whatever it was. The 3 seed at 12-5, the Detroit Lions, and the 4 seed that is currently just in the hunt right now at 9-8, winning the NFC South, the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. Interesting.
And then the 5 seed, the Dallas Cowboys at 12-5, the 6 seed at 9-8, the Minnesota Vikings, and the 7 seed also at 9-8, the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow, Vikings you got going in there when they got to play Detroit twice.
Yeah, I always had this weird bias with like divisional games where I always just automatically in my head split them unless the team is like absolutely horrible, and it's like so I just had to split them, and that got them in the playoffs somehow. And then I can't remember who their other last game is, but I'm pretty sure it's against somebody that's not that good, and I think I gave them the win. Just missing out of the playoffs over there are the Rams at 8-9, and the Packers at 8-9, and the Falcons at 8-9. Or sorry, 7-10. My bad. Bears also 7-10. Fun fact. Okay, Eagles versus Seahawks first round. Just had that matchup on Monday Night Football. This time it's in Philly. Give me the Eagles. The Lions and the Vikings in Detroit. Give me the Lions. So they would play for the third time in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And then the Saints get to host the Dallas Cowboys, even though the Dallas Cowboys have a 3-game better record, and the Cowboys beat the Saints. With that being said, it would be 49ers Cowboys, which we'd get a rematch after the 49ers demolished them early in the year. I think it would be a closer game. However, still in San Fran. San Fran's still the better team. Unfortunately, 49ers win that one. And then we got Eagles, Lions, and Philly. Give me the Lions in an upset. And give me, unfortunately, for how much I hate to say this, give me the 49ers to beat the Lions in the NFC Championship, setting up a 49ers-Ravens Super Bowl matchup.
You're not a Niners guy?
No.
Why not?
No,
What's wrong with the Niners?
I'm not a Brock Purdy or Deebo Samuel guy. How about that?
The 2 most fun players to watch in the league. I got you.
No.
Deebo Samuel is fun to watch. What do you mean?
I don't know why I don't like Deebo Samuel, but I don't.
That's just one of those guys who rubs you the wrong way, I guess.
I guess so. Go ahead with your NFC.
That's me with Mr. Quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr. I just don't like him. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Something about him. Just don't like him. But I was really shocked to hear you say the Saints, considering they're going to lose tomorrow night to the Rams, and that's going to put them in a tough spot. I have San Francisco in the 1. They're the best team in football. I have Detroit in the 2, actually. I got Philly in my 3 spot. They got the Giants twice, and as a Giants fan, they're going to kick our ass twice. I got Tampa winning the NFC South. It doesn't really matter who wins that division. In all honesty, they're going to lose in the first round.
Yeah, they get the unfortunate draw of whoever doesn't win the NFC East in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. Which is going to be Dallas. Dallas is not going to win the NFC East. They're going to be the 5. I got the Rams at 6 and Seattle at 7. I really am not sure how their tiebreakers lay out, actually. The Seattle might have the tiebreaker over them. Whichever team, I think the Rams will be 6 and Seattle will be 7, I guess. So that means I got Detroit and Seattle first round. I got to go Detroit. Philly and the Rams. I'm going to go Philly as much as I think the Rams can actually go into Philly and win that game. I really do. Their defense is good. Jalen Hurts has not been that good this year. Their defense has been really not good this year. And with Puka and the way Kyron Williams is playing right now, obviously you got Cooper Kupp. Matt Stafford's been there. He's done that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win it, but I think it's really hard to win in Philly. Tampa and Dallas. And then you got Detroit and Philly. Oh, I actually wrote the Rams. I did write the Rams. You know what? Screw it. I wrote the Rams. We're keeping the Rams. They're going to beat Philly. As much as I just talked about how hard it is, they're going to do it. But Detroit's going to beat them anyways. No matter who it is, Detroit's going to beat them. And that's going to set up Detroit and San Francisco in the NFC Championship because Dallas is not beating San Francisco in San Francisco. They maybe maybe have a slight chance if they could have had that game be in Dallas, and I still don't think they would do it anyways.
Yeah.
So give me San Francisco over Detroit, and I have San Francisco winning the Super Bowl. I think San Francisco and the Browns will be a really entertaining defensive Super Bowl between two like role player type quarterbacks, if you want to call them that. I think it'll be cool. And but I think San Francisco is going to win the Super Bowl as long as they stay healthy. That's been their problem every year. Last year, if they would have stayed healthy, I think they win the Super Bowl. Just seems to be their problem every year in and year out is just keeping those star guys on the field.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And then, so we both got 49ers in there. I actually have the Ravens defeating the 49ers in the Super Bowl, which, funny enough, they play each other this week on Monday night, on Christmas Day, Monday Night Football. So,
Christmas night, we got a treat.
So, yeah, I mean, hello, maybe previewing the Super Bowl matchup. There's a lot of, like, interesting matchups over this coming weeks, like Dolphins, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions. Like, there's a bunch, like, there's legit like a few matchups within the next 3 weeks head to head that could be Super Bowl previews, or AFC Championship or NFC Championship previews. So I'm interested to see that. And then I said it right there at the beginning. We both got our Super Bowl out the way. Award predictions. If you want me to go ahead, I can go ahead. But
yeah, I have some weird ones. So let's see what you got.
All right. Well, we can go one award at a time. I can say mine.
Okay.
You can say yours.
Let's do that. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Let's do it that way.
I'll start from the bottom then. We'll save the MVP for last.
Okay.
I'm gonna start at coach of the. So I did coach of the year, both rookie, like offensive, defensive player, defensive player, and then MVP. So those six. I didn't do comeback player. There was no reason to do that really. Coach of the year. With how I have it finishing, if the Colts actually finished 10-7 after losing their rookie quarterback, that was their starter, I'm going to have to give my Coach of the Year vote, which I don't have one, but if I did, to Shane Steichen.
Maybe one day.
So I got Shane Steichen, but in reality, I'll probably go to like Mike McDaniel or Dan Campbell, but I got Shane Steichen.
Wow. I actually think Kevin Stefanski deserves it the most. You lose your quarterback that you traded 75 first-round picks for and paid him literally your whole bank account. You also lose Nick Chubb, who's you can't really argue he's not a top 3 running back. Their offensive line has just been shattered with injuries. I mean, they replaced a really good tackle with a really good rookie tackle, and then that really good rookie tackle gets hurt as well. So, I mean, they've just been decimated with injuries, and he still found a way with Joe Flacco and a makeshift offensive line to put that team at what 8-5 they are right now. I mean, I think that's a really tough thing to do in a franchise also that's historically been bad no matter what the situations are. I think that kind of adds to it a little bit. I mean, the Browns are the Browns, right? To have them at 8-5 is tough no matter what team you have. So I think Stefanski would have my vote, and I think one day we will have votes, Cam. I think we'll be there
for sure. They're 9-5 now, by the way. 9-5.
Oh yeah, 9-5. Yeah, I forgot we are. Yeah,
favorable schedule. Rookie of the years on the defensive side, I've got Jalen Carter. That's pretty much like all but locked up. Will Anderson Jr. was hanging in there with them. Christian Gonzalez was on pace to win it until he unfortunately went out in like week 6, I think it was, the season.
Yeah.
But Jalen Carter at Defense Rookie of the Year, it's a shame that he had to do what he did off the field to fall even to 10. He should have been a top 5 at the very least, if not top 3 pick in the NFL draft last year. And then on the offensive side, even with his injury, it's got to be C.J. Stroud. I don't see a world where, I mean, there's arguments, but I just think C.J. Stroud definitely has to win this one.
Yeah, and it's such a quarterback-heavy league. I mean, it seems like the quarterback wins the MVP every year. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that situation. He's probably going to win it. There's a couple of guys that could deserve it more or whatever. I don't think anyone else deserves it more than him. I mean, he's playing for the Houston Texans. They won, I think, what they've won to combine like 5 games over the last 2 years, something like that. I mean, he's come in there and changed that team. I know they've put some good pieces together too, but got to have a good quarterback. And yeah, defensive player, the rookie of the year. I mean, it's Jalen Carter. I mean, that's who's going to win it. So not much to talk about there.
Yeah. And then offensive and defensive player of the year. Let me hear what you got first, because mine are a little interesting, I guess.
For offensive player of the year, I'm going to give it to Christian McCaffrey. Look, I know that Tyreek Hill has been really, really good. I know that he'll probably break the record, even with missing a game. But Christian McCaffrey, it just seems like he cannot get tackled the first time he gets touched. I feel like he should be averaging like 8 yards a carry. He falls for like an extra 3 yards every time. Every time I watch him, and I was up by 30 something in fantasy with just him last week in the playoffs, and he beat me with 40 something points. So that hurt me too. But yeah, that's my offensive player of the year. Who you got?
I also have CMC. I honestly think there's a very, very, very legitimate case for him to win MVP. But if he was to win MVP, if I was to replace my MVP right now with CMC, I would put Tyreek Hill. And it's unfortunate that with how the league is, how we're talking about it with MVP being mainly a quarterback award, and I have a quarterback winning it, the fact that Tyreek Hill might put up 2,000 yards even with getting hurt for a week and not win an award, it's insane. But yeah, I got CMC, and then on the defensive side, this is where it gets controversial. Call me biased, whatever. TJ Watt, defensive player of the year.
If you weren't a Steelers fan, who else would you have up there? Is my question. I'll give you TJ Watt's good, but who else would you have up there?
Yeah,
because I want to see if my guy is there. And you're just name your other top two.
Right now, I think there's 4 names that are in the discussion. Right,
Mm-hmm.
It's TJ Watt, it's Micah Parsons, it's Nick Bosa, and it's Myles Garrett. I get that when you look at Myles Garrett's stats, and because I can look at Myles Garrett's stats and be like, okay, this guy's stats aren't anywhere near as good as these other 3 this year. But then there's like, oh, but if you look at the advanced stats, Myles Garrett's a bit like, no, I don't care. I don't care if he had 89 whatever thousand QB hurries. He only had however many sacks compared to these other 3 guys. If I was to vote, I would vote TJ Watt first place. I would vote Nick Bosa second place. I'd vote Micah Parsons third place. I'd vote Myles Garrett fourth. And to throw a 5th name in there, I'd probably throw Deron Bland a vote just because he has 7 million pick sixes this year.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. Yeah, but he gets burnt a lot too. He's got that Trayvon Diggs-esque type player to me. He's interception or big gain kind of guy.
Yeah, interception or 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I was surprised that you didn't have another 49er in there. I mean, Fred Warner. He's had a hell of a season. I mean, he is to me, he's the best player on the best defense in the league. I know that I just talked about how good the Browns defense is, but I think they're the best defense in the AFC. But I think Fred Warner, I mean, it's important to me if you're going to give quarterbacks the award, right, for MVP or offensive player of the year every year, the linebacker situation on the defense kind of has to go the same way. I mean, they're the signal caller. They're the quarterback of the defense. And so I personally, I don't think he's going to win it. But if it was me picking, I would pick Fred Warner.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to look it up just because I was interested. Oh, that's a name I didn't even think about. Wow, Josh Allen would definitely get my 5th vote. FanDuel right now, Micah Parsons is the betting favorite, followed by Myles Garrett, very closely behind him. TJ Watt, Josh Allen, and then Daniil Hunter actually is.
Oh.
But yeah. I mean, yeah, he's not really close.
Yeah.
Warner, I agree for sure.
I think Myles Garrett will probably win it because I don't think the Cowboys will have. I think they're going to get blown up by Miami next week, or I guess that's in a couple of days now. They looked. He got just manhandled against the Bills a couple of days ago. I mean, they just said, we're not even going to block you. We're just going to run away from you. And just make you kind of useless. You can't really do that with Myles Garrett. I mean, I guess you can. Um, I don't know. They just kind of nullified him, and it seems like that's a problem. If you can nullify the best player on the field, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And middle linebackers, I mean, they're the quarterback of the defense. Everybody's heard that saying before. Middle linebackers are the quarterbacks of the defense. So Fred Warner's a really reasonable name for sure. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Josh Allen. The only thing that Josh Allen doesn't really have going for him is the fact that the Jaguars defense aside from him hasn't been that great. But here we go. Let me hear it. MVP.
Who I think is going to win it is Brock Purdy. I mean, he's the quarterback on the best team in the league. I think he's going to win it. I like I said, Dak was up there. He had a bad game against Buffalo. I don't think he's going to play great against Miami. He doesn't play great on the road. Jalen Hurts was up there. I don't think he ever should have been there. I was talking about that the whole time. Y'all called me crazy when I was like, Jalen Hurts is not that guy. Oh my gosh. And I was right. Jalen Hurts was not going to win MVP. I hate that Boston isn't here, so I can't talk more about this. I will talk shit to Boston about this. But I just think he's going to win it. I think Christian McCaffrey could win it. In my opinion, like if I was going to give it to someone on the 49ers, it would be Christian McCaffrey. Same thing, same kind of argument with Tyreek. Tyreek is going to set a whole bunch of records, and he's going to actually do it in 16 games. He doesn't need the 17th. But I think Brock Purdy is going to win it ultimately because he's a quarterback and he's been pretty good. I know he's got weapons around him, but he's been pretty damn good.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, for how much I hate to say it, I also think that Brock Purdy is probably going to end up winning it because they're probably not going to lose another football game. And it's just going to be like, oh, well, I don't care. Brock Purdy shouldn't be MVP. I've got Lamar Jackson. And like I said, funny enough, 49ers and Ravens play each other this week. I think there's a legitimate shot that if the Ravens go out there this week and they win this football game and Lamar Jackson has a really good performance against that very, very stout 49ers defense, I don't think there's any reason why he shouldn't be the betting favorite. As you know, what I said, that's Monday night at 8:15. I don't think there's any reason, if that's the case, at 11:30 when that game ends, Lamar Jackson should be the betting favorite on FanDuel, on MGM, on any website to bet on. I've got Lamar winning. But a name I want to throw out there, he just keeps on creeping up in there. It's going to be very, very hard for him to get to the spot to win it. But it's Josh Allen. I mean,
no.
he's just creeping up in there.
You can't lead the league in turnovers and win the MVP. You just can't. It's such a stat-driven world. You can't do it.
He doesn't lead the league in turnovers.
He does. Yeah, he's tied. He's still tied first.
I thought Desmond Ridder does.
Is it? I thought. Oh, I know Jalen Hurts is tied up there too. I thought it was Jalen Hurts, Tua, and Josh Allen. Maybe Josh Allen isn't up there anymore. But
that's since 2022. Hold on.
Because I mean, maybe I thought I saw it was like a 4-way tie, and maybe Desmond Ridder is the fourth guy up there. I think it
is a 4-way tie. My bad. Desmond Ridder is tied for second with Trevor Lawrence. Technical second. The 4-way tie is Josh Dobbs, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Sam Howell.
Oh, Sam Howell. Yeah, it's not Tua.
But I was thinking
Tua's probably
Ridder
close up there.
18. I was thinking Ridder at 18, but he only has 16 supposedly. So.
Yeah, I think it's hard, and he probably won't lead the league in turnovers coming into the season. I think he'll probably end the season. He's been doing pretty well the last couple of games, and I think he'll probably won't end up with the league. It'll probably be Sam Howell, because Josh Dobbs isn't going to probably play any more games unless something happens to Nick Mullins. Yeah. So it'll probably be Sam Howell, but still, I mean, to be top 3 in turnovers and be MVP, I don't know. But the only reason I didn't have Lamar up there is because of the reason that you said. If he wins, he'll be the betting favorite. I don't think they win that game, and I think that's going to solidify Brock Purdy, and it's going to kick Lamar Jackson out. They're going to be like, well, they had a head-to-head to determine who's the MVP, and I think the 49ers honestly win pretty handily on Monday night. Lamar has had a down year for him, which is still an amazing year. And I just don't think that without Mark Andrews and without the Ravens just struggle to put real receivers on the field. Zay Flowers is good. He's been really good, but your best receiver having 12, 13, 14 games of experience against a team like the 49ers, that's tough. And I know OBJ is there, but he's 30. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's the MVP isn't really an MVP. It goes to the best player on the best team. And to me, what MVP should be is without this guy, what is his team? Like,
I agree.
That's
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And that's why I think Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP because
exactly.
he definitely meant the most to that 49ers offense. I would love to have, all hypothetical, but run this exact season back without Christian McCaffrey on the team. Run it back with who's their backup?
Elijah Mitchell.
Davis Prince or whatever his name is.
Well, Elijah Mitchell is supposed to be their backup. I mean, he's been hurt.
Mitchell, him and Tyron Davis Prince or whatever that dude's name is. I know he gets some areas too, but would love to run it back with that. Which Elijah Mitchell, I don't think is an absolutely terrible backup, but that's a story for another day.
He's good.
We'll get into it. Guarantees?
Yeah. What you got?
Well, last episode I said the Bucks were going to win the in-season tournament, and about 30 minutes after we stopped recording, lost to even get there. So that sucks because the worst part about that was I am a huge LeBron fan. Like LeBron is what got me basketball.
Yeah, bro. I was so surprised.
Yeah, so like for the longest time, I wasn't even a favorite team. It was wherever LeBron was my favorite team. The Cavs for a while, the Cavs, whatever. And so I finally was like, okay, I'll be a Hornets fan because it's hometown team.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, terrible. With that being said, for how much my bias has shown in today's episode, which I promise I'm more of a realistic person than a biased fan, but I've got to stick with the program. I said UNC was going to make the Final Four. I said TJ Watt's the Defensive Player of the Year. And for everybody counting my team out this weekend, we're back at home. We're in Acrisure Stadium. We already beat the Bengals once. My guarantee of the week is the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Cincinnati Bengals again with Mason Rudolph as the starting quarterback.
No chance. Steelers. No, you know what? I will guarantee the opposite. I guarantee you the Bengals will beat the Steelers.
Dog, that's crazy.
No, I will count that as a guarantee because I did also add my guarantee that the Steelers game would go over last week. That was the only one that we hit out of all of us because we all suck at this apparently. But my guarantee for the week is that the 49ers are going to beat the Baltimore Ravens on Christmas night. I know that's not a groundbreaking thing, but it's just going to happen. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate that it's so predictable, but it's just they're so good. They're such a good football team all around. And then getting hurt every year has just helped them get better because they get good draft picks and they have a quarterback that they're paying less than $1 million a year. It's just they're such a good team and they're gonna win.
For sure.
But before we end, you had to know this was coming. You had to know this was coming. Drew Lock. You said the only way he was catching a groove and hitting 50-yard touchdowns was if he was at the local high school. Well, I guess Philadelphia is a local high school because that's how he won the game 2 nights ago. Oh, my goodness. I don't care that it was in Seattle. It doesn't matter. It was against a good team. And he had that, that white Chad swag going on like I said he was going to. And we got it. I hate that Boston's not here because he was bashing Drew Lock so hard.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna save this one for when Boston was back on here, because especially since it was against the Eagles, like crazy. But I mean, shout out to him. I guess I don't really have a problem with Drew Lock. But
I just had to.
I was more referring to the fact that you were talking about that Drew Lock would beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
It wasn't that game in San Fran too.
Yeah, well, he didn't get to play. He didn't. We never know. He didn't get to play it.
I mean, to be fair though, if you want to give a shout out to Drew Lock, you got to give a shout out to Jackson Smith and Jigba too,
Oh yeah,
because he overthrew Jackson Smith and Jigba on that final play, and if Jackson Smith and Jigba would not have made an amazing catch on that football, I don't know how he caught it because he's literally like this and the ball's right here. I don't know how
yeah.
he caught the football, but I mean, I think you got to give a shout out to Jackson Smith and Jigba too because without him hauling that pass in, they might not win that game. And
Oh, they definitely don't win that game.
Drew Lock is 21 for 33 with 208 yards and no touchdowns compared to 22 for 33, 208. Well, not even 200 because however many yards that was, you got to subtract that off too. So probably less than 200 yards and 0 touchdowns, whereas 200 yards and a touchdown, it makes them look a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, and Jackson Smith and Njigba is him. Like whenever he got drafted, it was a few slots before the Giants could get him, and I was so mad. And Deontay Banks is him. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad we have Deontay Banks, but whenever I really thought he was going to fall to us for a second, and it was like 3 picks before. I was mad. I really wanted him. He is going to be a really, really good receiver for whatever quarterback Seattle ends up having for the long term. Maybe it's Drew Lock. Who knows? Um, but I am definitely going to talk to Boston. I'm definitely going to tell him Drew Lock beat the Eagles, and he's gonna. It's gonna be. You thought that was annoying? Just wait until Boston gets here. It's gonna be fantastic, and you're gonna just. Drew Lock did it, and I'm happy he did. But I don't know if you have anything else to add. I know it's a little bit shorter than we normally go, but usually we got another guy that adds a little bit more. He'll be back next week. So, but you got anything else to add?
I did not.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking around with us. I know I say thanks every time, but we really do appreciate you guys watching and hanging out. If you guys want to comment, you got any ideas you like to see? Normally we do some trivias and stuff like that too to kind of add some stuff to it, but it's kind of hard with 2 when I know all the answers. I'm just asking Cam. But if you guys have anything you'd like to see, let us know, and we'll see you next week.